Hi everyone, my name is Bina, and today I'll be sharing with you my experience on GLP-1. I'll be telling you my starting weight, my current weight, and my goal weight. This will be video number 2. If you haven't had a chance to watch my video number 1, I highly suggest you go and watch it at some point in time. During this time, my doctor told me, Bina, you are pre-diabetic. As in, if you don't make any significant changes, you'll end up with diabetes. And that's one thing I didn't want to have. Um, my grandmother had it from my father's side, and it was not good. It was not good. So I told myself I will never allow for that to happen. So at this time, I started working out again, and I did decide to do a semaglutide. Now, I was on semaglutide for about, I want to say 6 to 7 months. And at this time, I actually did not lose any weight, which is very shocking to me because I know a lot of people who are very successful, but I wasn't, unfortunately. So, because semaglutide didn't work out, I decided to do a diet that's, it's I don't want to say it was very healthy diet, but I'm also not going to say it wasn't unhealthy. However, it was very difficult on my body. And quite frankly, it is very hard to sustain once you get off of it. Even when you reach your goal weight and you go back to your regular lifestyle, even if you're eating normal healthy foods, it's still very hard to sustain. So I did lose about 20 to 25 pounds naturally with working out and doing the diet, which was wonderful. However, during this time in my life, there's been a lot of changes, and it was kind of like, I don't know how to say it, besides, I took a white flag and I started going like that. Everything in my life started changing. It was like a domino effect. All the things that I believed in, all the things that I looked up to, they all started breaking apart in my life. So this time I unfortunately threw in the blanket and I pretty much started eating whatever I wanted. And clearly that did not help my situation. So I've gained all my weight back, unfortunately. Now at this time, I decided to do tirzepatide. Now, I didn't start at the lowest dosage. I started at the one above it. And I honestly had quite a bit of a side effects. I had nausea, stomach problems. It wasn't great. So about 2.5 weeks in, I knew that I was flying out of the country with my husband. And this is the place where you can eat some real amazing foods. And I knew that I'm gonna want to go and experience all these things. So in my head, I was like, okay, if I go, I might as well make sure that I go on a higher dose. So when I'm taking this medication overseas, all the food that I eat, I don't gain the weight, or perhaps it makes me want to not eat as much. So I literally jumped from that, dose that I was on to a higher dose, which is so wrong because literally I shouldn't have started the tirzepatide in the first place, knowing that I'm going on a vacation. Okay, no one should do that, but I didn't know, so that's what I did. So I ended up taking a higher dosage injection few days prior to my flight, and I had the worst side effects ever. So at this point, I was like, I'm not taking this medication with me overseas. I'm just going to leave it home and whatever. I'll revisit it when I come back. So for about a year or so, I didn't do the medication. I just, you know how sometimes you tell yourself that something didn't work out and you keep giving yourself justifications for it, why it failed you? That's kind of what I did. I think psychologically, I told myself that it didn't work out. It's just not meant for me. So I quit it. Not until, like I said, a year later, I was speaking to a friend of mine on the phone, and I don't know how we started talking about the weight loss. She told me about her friend that she's been friends with for many, many years. And how her friend was always overweight, and how she went on this tirzepatide journey and how she lost all this crazy amount of weight. So I said, "Oh my God, that is amazing! You know, that's so good for her." So she shared her photos with me, and honestly, it was crazy. She looked so beautiful. She just radiated that happiness. You know, you can see it with her own, well, you can see with your own eyes how happy she was. So I told my friend, I was like, that's it. I think this is a sign that I need to get back to doing tirzepatide again. So me being the Gemini that I am, I literally got up, I went to the fridge, I opened up the fridge and pulled out the vial that I already had from the a year ago failed experience that I had. And I told myself, that's it. I'm going to inject myself with it. So I am just so happy I didn't. I ended up texting my doctor's wife and I said, listen, I have this medicine that I previously purchased from you, and I'm really wanting to inject it now. What do you think? She said, Bina, that medicine's been there for quite some time now. Please don't use it. Go ahead and order a new batch. So I listened to her, and that's exactly what I did. So on September 11, I started my first injection, and I was 188 pounds. And I was at 25 units. And then on October 23rd, I ended up moving up to 50 units. This was also the time when my weight loss kind of stalled. So I was at 50 units and I started seeing my weight go down again, which was awesome. Um, it's also worth mentioning that for about 5 months, I did not drink any alcohol at all. I just wanted to allow my body to detox and to give this a best shot ever. So then Christmas time, no, December time came around, and I did allow myself to have couple beverages. And I would say about December, let's say Christmas time, Christmas time, I was about 161 pounds. Also, it's worth noting that around January 15, January 15, I moved up to 70 units. And that was because my weight loss kind of stalled. And it did that. Throughout the journey, it did stall. And that's when I would typically move up. So at this point, I went up to 70 units and my weight hit below 160. Now it was 159.8. However, I will say once I got to 70 units, I started noticing more of side effects. I had diarrhea. Actually, it was a really bad diarrhea. Yeah. I had a bit of acid reflux, but for that, I was taking over the counter medicine. So moving down, the weight loss still kept going down. And about February, I was 156 pounds. It's also worth mentioning that I'm terrible at drinking water. It is very embarrassing to acknowledge it, but it's part of me. I've been working at being better at it. However, during this whole process on GLP, I did drink water, but not as much as I wish I did. And I have a feeling if I did, my weight loss would not stall as much. And I also want to mention that a lot of times people think going up is better. Looking back at a whole journey, I truly think if you start low and gradually go up, that's better than jumping from one dose to high up. So that's one thing I would suggest, talking to your doctor and perhaps slowing it down. Now, let's see. On March 12th, I moved up to 75 units. So 5 unit difference, not by much more than that. At this time, I was 152.4. Okay, 152.4, which is pretty awesome. March 18, I dropped to 148 pounds. So total of 40 pounds loss. Okay. I am still at 40 pounds. Yeah, I'm very proud of myself. Very, very proud of myself. I think This is the biggest gift I could have given myself. It is not my it is not my goal weight. I want to lose more weight. I'm at 148. My goal weight is 135. I would love to reach that goal for my birthday, which is coming up in June. Um, However, I have to celebrate the milestones that I have, and right now I'm very proud of myself. Okay, so yes, today's April 13, and I still remain at 148 pounds. Now, I know I can lose more weight. However, during this time, I've allowed myself to live my life, to live my best life. Like, I had my friends visit me on numerous times, and I had cocktails, I had sweets, I had different things, but I am trying to do everything in moderation and not overdo it. Now, people think that GLP is, how do I say it, a shortcut, if you will, but it's not. It wasn't for me. It still required a lot of work to maintain it and to keep up with it, like drinking water, reminding myself to eat food. There are times when I did want to have a pie or a cake, and I did. However, I had to mentally still tell myself, Sabina, have a little portion, don't have a whole thing. So it's not as easy for me. I know for some people they drop weight like this, but for me it's still a process. Now let's see what changed. Okay, I made a couple notes on what changed. Lost skin. So a couple of weeks ago, I was doing plank in my bedroom, and something crazy happened that I didn't notice before. I've I've saw all my skin, my stomach area, kind of droop like that, come together and droop down, and I didn't enjoy the sight of it. I knew because I lost weight, it's normal to like have some saggy skin, but I think the combination of the C-section and the weight loss, that's what definitely I think that's what definitely made it hang the way it did. Now, does it bother me? I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I'm in love with it, because that would be me BSing you. But is it something that bothered me, or would I want to go back to before? Hell no, I wouldn't. Like, whatever. I work with a lot of people. I work in a beauty industry, and I have different clients. And I open up about my GLP journey. However, I don't talk about it to everyone because I'll give an example. About a week ago, I had a client and she was telling me how she wants to lose weight, which is understandable. And before I could say anything about how I lost weight, she goes, "Oh, yeah, that thing they do nowadays with the injections, I would never do it." And then she literally started like listing everything. That's why it's such a bad idea. So I was like, "Oh, thank God I didn't say anything because that would not be very good." Okay. So I would say if you are talking about it to people, or you wanting to discuss this with people before you start, just be mindful, because some people will be supportive of this and some people will possibly try to talk you out of it. I'd say do your own research, talk to your doctor, and then come to a conclusion that way. Okay? What changed? Let's see, what changed? Well, my husband always, I'm so blessed with my husband. My husband always finds me attractive. I have noticed the difference between now and before. He's always shown me attention. However, he shows me, I would say, even more now than before. And I truly think it comes down to, it's the, it's not really a superficial thing. It's more about how you feel. Because now with me losing the weight that I have, I feel more confident. I want to dress up more. I want to feel more attractive. And it makes me happy. And I think when it makes me feel happier, he can feel it too. He can see that in me. So that definitely gives you a certain type of confidence. So I've seen that with my husband. As for people, I also got to tell you, people treat me better now than when I was 40 pounds heavier. Um, I'll probably make another video about that because it's a big conversation of its own. But I will say people will treat you different. Personally, it sucks. You know, I've been on two different spectrums. I used to be the very, very slim girl, as in like questionable, very slim. And I used to be the heaviest I've ever been before. And I've seen how people treat you there. So it's unfortunate that people would treat you a certain way when you look certain way, but it is the truth. And I've seen people be more kinder, more sweeter to me. In the beginning, when I first started doing the shot, on the date that I did the shot, I would literally have nightmare. And I usually don't have dreams. It's kind of funny because whenever I would watch a horror movie, I would pretty much never have any nightmares. Like that didn't bother me. However, the day I would do a shot, I would have a nightmare. And let me tell you, it wasn't a regular nightmare. This was like legit scary stuff. Scary stuff, like crazy stuff. So I'm sure there's a lot of people that never experienced that, but I have. So that was not very enjoyable. The other thing is, obviously, I felt like I had a lot of acid, so I would take the medicine for it. When it comes to bowel movement, it was kind of weird. It went through, I had some indigestion problems to, I would still use bathroom daily, to using the bathroom every 2 to 3 days, which I know is not good. I did take probiotics, which did help. By the way, make sure you take supplements. But there were times when, yeah, I wouldn't go for 2 to 3 days, and then I would go, and then whenever I would move up my medicine, then at that point it was kind of like, I remember I had diarrhea for like, I think for 12 days in a row, which wasn't good. But that's something that I did experience. Then after that time, it did go back to normal again. But yes, so will you have stomach problems? Yes. Will you have indigestion problems? Yes. Will you have these really nasty burps? Yes. But if I were to go back in time, would I change any of that? Hell no, I wouldn't. I love the way I feel. This is not about the vanity. This is not about, oh, I want to feel so sexy when I go places. No, I just want to feel healthy, and I do. My pre-diabetes is gone. I don't have it anymore. And actually, my husband watching me do this, he actually ended up doing it too. And he had pre-diabetes and among other problems. And he lost 35 pounds. I guess my journey made him want to do his own. He lost the weight, his diabetes is gone, and he's just feeling great. So, not a vanity, it's a health thing. You know, it's a health thing. If someone tells you that GLP-1 is easy way out, screw those people, because in my experience, it was not easy. It is not easy now either, okay? If I could give you one piece of advice is give yourself permission to find the version of yourself that you have always envisioned. And what do I mean by that? I mean, you know, you have that version in your head of what you want to look like, how you want to feel, how you want other people to feel around you. But honestly, give yourself permission to be that, you know what I mean? Give yourself permission, because the truth is, life is, we don't know how much time we have. We really don't. Bad things can happen anytime. And you want to make sure you fulfill all your dreams that you have. And you know, like my grandma said, you can have all the money in the world, and if your health is shit, none of it matters. It's true, you know? Take your time to concentrate on your life. Sit down and really connect with what it is that you want. Connect with the version that you want to be and get to work, because it is work. It's not easy. So if this video resonated with you, and if you learned even one thing from it, I would so ask you to subscribe to my channel, because this was not an easy video to make. But yes, please give me a follow, and I'll work harder on making more videos in the future. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy day to watch this video. I so appreciate you. Thank you, and have an amazing day.